Hey guys, it's Kane here. Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm gonna talk about logical operators and selection, also called decision making. We have done decision making in flow algorithm when we have seen the control structure where it was branching true and false, and now we're gonna apply it to the in the programming environment to see how this works. So I'm going to work on a question answer or question solution based rather than going through and explaining the control structures over and over again. But just to touch down the subject, so far we have covered up the sequences, which is like the program flow where from a top to down mechanism the program works. The next thing we're going to cover is the control structures, where we're going to focus on that one. And to talk about decisions, they are the control structures or also called selection and decision making. In here the purpose is to offer a selection of choices. Usually two alternative outcomes come through this. Either it becomes true or false. And when you control your structures, you always use a logical operator, the ones that we mentioned before in the flow algorithm, such as greater than, less than, equals to, not equals to, less than equals to, or greater than equals to. And we can also combine them with and, or, and not operator. Remember that the outcome is either true or false. Now to see this, we're going to go into, rather than talking the theory of it, we're going to apply it in a program and see how this is going to work. So I already wrote down the question up above, as you can see. So it's going to be like writing a program in C++ that gets your overall mark from Introduction to Programming course and shows whether or not you pass the course. Any mark over 49 and above is a pass, and any mark below 50 is a fail. The program does not accept marks above 100 or below 0. This indicates that you have to do a validation in the program to make sure that it fits within that range. Or otherwise this will create a problem for you, because you cannot get a mark above 100 or below 0 in an exam. So how we are going to start writing this program? Like, from the way the description is given to you, you need to understand what are your inputs and what are your outputs. In this program you have only one input, that is the mark you get from the course, and the outcome of it is a message. The message is that you either pass the course or you fail. So there's a pass and there's a fail, which we can regard as true or false branch. So I'm gonna go into here and first declare the variable that I like to use. In this case I'm gonna call it integer mark. There will be an outcome, so I don't need to write the outcome yet, and I'm just gonna leave some blank space, and if I need to come back here I can basically go up and declare another value. So first thing we need to do is to ask the user to basically enter a mark. So I'm gonna put \n and gonna type enter your overall mark from this course, offering the choice to the user to enter it. Now I defined the mark as integer, but it could be that this is a float or a double, but in the question it precisely said, oh, it's either over 49 or below 50. So these ranges are integer, hence why I defined it as integer. It could be that the lecturer says I need to set up the range in float, so it's always a nice idea to ask the data type. Once we have done this, we can get the mark. When we get the mark now, we can go into the loop structure, the control structure, and evaluate it. So what we need to do here is we're going to put an if statement, just as we did in the pseudocode, and we're going to put brackets. Now the brackets are important because every statement in a computer programming environment should be handled one by one. So by putting the brackets, you are declaring a control structure. Now my first condition, the condition that I want to look at, is if this mark is above 49. You can simply write there 50 as well. So if you want to make the pass mark 50, you can also type 50 and put the equal sign there. So any mark greater than or equals to 50 is gonna be a pass. Now if you are only typing one line underneath the if statement, you don't need the brackets. These brackets become optional. However, it's a good practice because you might want to add more lines underneath it at a later time, so it's always a nice idea to put them. You don't have to put the brackets if there is only one line under your control structure, such as in this question. So we're gonna just say, congrats, you pass the exam or the course. So we're going to put a semicolon here. And if this is not true, you can go into two branches. In between if and any other statement, you can put as many else if as you like, or you can disregard the if and say that if part is not true, then automatically execute else. Now you need to know that else it doesn't accept a condition. Only if statements accept the condition. So what happens in here is that you can type else and then if here and put another statement and indicate that the mark is gonna be this time around less than 50. Now how the computer functions is that it looks into this statement. If this statement is true, it executes it and it automatically ignores whatever else if you type there and jumps into the next line, which is this line, and that's where your program is gonna end. However, if this statement is false, it will jump into the next one and try to look if the next statement is true or false again. The correct structure of this is that you type if, else, and if you want to type another condition, you type if again. However, because it's more convenient for us, we usually combine these statements and type them on the same line as if, else if, and you can put as many else if as you like, and you can also put an else. So in here I put an if statement, and the next statement that I'm going to evaluate it whether or not this mark is less than 50. So I was looking if it is more or equals to 50 in the first one. In the next one I'm going to look at if this mark is less than 50. And because it's only one line, this time I'm going to omit the brackets and just type cout. Sorry, you failed the course. Once this is done, you can also put an else statement. Now in the else statement, because this is not greater than 50 and less than 50, there is something wrong in the program, which you can type it. However, for this specific program, whatever number you enter is either greater than or equals to 50 or less than 50. There are no other circumstances. So an else statement here is unnecessary. Now let's run this program to see the outcome. So I'm gonna stop, save it, save all, and run it. Now when I run this program, as you can see on the screen, it says enter your overall mark from the course. When I enter 96, it says congrats, you passed the course. And when I run it again, and this time around I enter a mark that I expect to fail, such as 23, and it says sorry, you failed the course. So basically we are able to evaluate the conditions. However, if you go up to the program, there is also a line there that says this program does not accept marks above 100 or below 0. So if we actually run the program and type a mark above 100 or below 0, such as 125, it actually says the same message. So you have to put a range in here so that this number is not going to accept, the number is not going to be valid for numbers above 100 or below 0. So what we need to do in here is to add another if statement. So I'm going to put an if statement here and evaluate the mark before I go and evaluate and say, oh, it's a pass or a fail. So what we do here is that I'm going to look if this mark is above 100 and put an OR operator. This is an OR operator indicating that if this is going to be true, check out the next statement as well. And if the mark is less than 0, so if the entered mark is above 100 or below 0, and I'm going to put them into a bigger bracket, making them as one statement, and I'm going to display a message telling the user that sorry, invalid mark entry, please enter a number in between 0 and 100. So just by entering that, you can see that this is going to be a number in between this range. Now there is one more problem, however. Because we left this one as if and this one is also if, what the program will do is it's gonna run this and immediately run this one as well, because there is no else in between. So even though when I run the program I enter a value now, such as 125, it says sorry, invalid mark entry, please enter a number. It also says the congrats, you passed the course message. To prevent the next statement to be executed, we need to make sure that this is an else if, which means that if this statement is false, then look up this statement and try to execute it, and then look up this statement and try to execute it. So you kind of like put them in an order to make sure that the second and the third statement only executes when the first one is false. Just by doing so, when we run the application, we enter a number now, let's say the same number, and it only displays invalid entry, try again. And only when you enter a valid entry, now it's gonna run. So if I put 11 minus 11, it will show me the same thing. And if I put something else, let's say now a valid entry, it will say congrats, you passed the course. If I type it again and enter a failed number such as 31, it will say you failed from the course. So this is how you arrange the if-else structure. It basically allows you to control and go into different pathways as you progress in the program. So you kind of like say, if this condition happens, go to this way, and if the other condition happens, go to the other way. And that's how the control structure works. So I'm gonna move on and solve another question. So in your lecture slides, there's the question number, I think it should be down a bit. Exercise, not this one, yeah, that one. Exercise 3. This one is a good one, so let's solve this together as well. So in this exercise, we're gonna write a program to ask the user to enter 3 numbers, and then the program will decide which one of them is the biggest. The biggest number will be visible also on the screen. So something like this, you are giving the option to enter 1, 2, 3 numbers, and it will basically display the greatest number among the enters on the screen. So let's create a new source file, and I'm gonna save this as if else question 2. Let's say if else greatest number. Now that we have done this, I'm gonna copy paste some of the statements here just to earn some time. The standard statements, going down and copy paste them, and I'm gonna focus on the question now. The question tells me that there are 3 numbers, and as we can see from the layout, these numbers are whole numbers. They are integer numbers because that's what the user entered there. So I'm gonna define these numbers as n1, n2, and n3. And in the question, as you can see, the programmer got these numbers one by one. So first number, second number, and third number, similar to the previous exercises we solved. So I'm going to ask them one by one. Enter the first number, get this first number. And now that I got the first number, I'm going to simply copy paste this line and get the second and the third. So this should be the second number, and this should be the third. This is going to be n2, and this is going to be n3. Now that we obtain all numbers, we can look up which one is the greatest. So I'm going to come in there and type greatest number. Initially, let me just not set up an initial one. We can set up an initial one should you want to, but it's not needed. So we're going to come down in here and look, create a couple of if statements. So we're going to type if n1 greater than n2, and I'm going to put and, which means I'm going to check up the next statement. And 1 is also greater than n3. If among these numbers n1 is bigger than n2 and n1 also bigger than n3, this automatically makes n1 the greatest number among the 3 of them. So I'm going to initialize greatest number, in this case to n1, and because it's only one line underneath it, I'm not going to put the brackets. So you can now copy paste this and go into the next line, and instead of if, we're going to type else if, and we're going to look into the next statement. n2 is going to be n1, and n2 is going to be n3, and this time it's going to be n2. Finally, we will look into the part where n3 is the biggest one. n3 is going to be greater than n1, and n3 is going to be greater than n2, and that will be the greatest number. Now that you have write these things, remember that there is the possibility that all the numbers are the same. So you can put an else statement here, and you can type you entered the values the same, or let's say you entered the same values. Please enter numbers differently. So it's like first one, second one, third one, and if none of it, then this is automatically true. That's the structure that we followed up here. So let's try to run this thing to see what will be the outcome. So enter the first number. I'm going to enter 5, I'm gonna enter the second number -3, and I'm gonna enter the third number as 9. Now we define the greatest number, but actually we never displayed it on the screen. So maybe we should try to display it in here. So we can say something like greatest number equals to whatever greatest number we found. The token. We'll put the token there and display the greatest number. Now because we won't have a greatest number in the else part, you can put a bracket, copy paste this line inside the brackets and set the number to 0 because there is no number, just to show that there is no number. You can compile and run this now. So I'm gonna enter 5 minus 9 and 11, and as you can see 11 is the greatest number. You can rerun the application to enter completely different numbers such as -5, -1, -78, and among them the greatest number is -1. So the program actually works. So if you type all the numbers the same, so let's just press and run it again. I'm going to enter -5, -5 and -5. It will display you entered the same values, please enter numbers differently, and it will set up the greatest number to 0, just as we did in the exercise. Maybe we can put \n here to show it in a nicer way. So let's enter positive numbers this time. Gonna enter 9, 9, 9, and again the same outcome is displayed. You entered the same values, please enter numbers differently, and greatest number is 0. So this is how you work around with if-else structure. You first evaluate a condition and look into the next part. You can add as many else if as you like in between if and else part. Else means everything else, everything that you did above is actually false. So now that everything above is false, I'm going to evaluate this one automatically. Where when you put an if statement, you have to evaluate the condition. This is why else does not have a condition, but every other part which has an if statement, as you can see, has a evaluation. This is called the control structure itself, and it's broken down. So instead of putting the statements in one line, such as n1 greater than n2 greater than n3, we divide them into two. So we look with this n1 and n2 and n1 and n3. And because we want both conditions to be true at the same time, we put an AND. If we want only one of the conditions to be true, then we can put OR. So the difference between AND is that you want all conditions to be satisfied. If you want only one of them to be satisfied, then you can put an OR. And this is how you work around in the control structures. I'm going to solve one more question before I finish this video, and that is the exercise actually at the end of the your lecture slides. In this exercise, you are actually creating a menu and you are offering a series of choices to the user so they can select one of those choices to work. So the choices are: there is a fast food menu, the burger, the wrap, and the cheeseburger. And then once the user selects a choice, basically the program asks them to pick up how many of that they want and then calculates the total. And each of the prices are also given next to them. So what we're going to do in here now, we're going to create another source file and say this as the fast food program. Always give meaningful names to your application. It's easier for you to find them on your computer, and also would be easier to exchange data, to organize and archive. So I'm going to copy paste these lines that I have from the previous program instead of typing them, and the first thing I'm going to do is to create a menu. Now in the program layout you can see that there's the fast food menu and the choices are offered. So I'm going to put up those things. So there are some stars here, fast food menu, and some stars there. This is only done for aesthetic purposes. There is no other reason. I'm going to also put \T to push it a bit further in the screen so it will hopefully look better. And I'm going to put the menu choices. So in here you can see that we have 1, 2, 3 choices. So 2 and 1 and offer the choices to user. So first one is gonna be the burger, and I'm gonna put the price there. So the price is 6 chicken wrap and chicken burger. So let me just copy paste these. So chicken wrap and chicken burger. So this is the second choice, and that's the third one, and the prices are 6, 4, 7. So I'm gonna put them there, 6, 4, 7. Now that this is done, I'm gonna offer the choice to the user to select one of them. And the message that goes underneath it, look how I'm following the program, I'm just typing one by one the messages. Select a choice in between 1 and 3. So I'm gonna put exactly the same style. Select a choice 1 to 3. So offering this menu to the user so that they will know. I think these are a bit excess, so I'm just gonna get rid of them and try to run the program now to see how it's gonna work. Saving, just to see the menu. So as you can see, the program runs as in fast food menu, burger 6, 4 and 7. Now we didn't indicate the currency, so we don't even know what is the currency for them. So in the question these are given as dollar, and we're going to put the $ next to it. On your keyboard you can see that the $ in the English keyboard is next to the number 4, so you can put the $ there. Now that you have this, you can go down and continue. We haven't created any variables yet, so we're going to initiate each one of these prices in the program with constant values. So each one of them will be indicated as the burger price, which is going to be 7. Chicken wrap price, which is going to be 4. And finally chicken burger price, this is going to be 7 as well. I think the first one was 6, so I'm just going to change it to 6. Yeah, as you can see, I define these as constant because it will make the program more manageable just by changing the numbers in here. I don't have to basically modify the state of the rest of the program. Just by changing them in here, I can see the reflection, the change in the entire program, because these prices can go up and down in the future. Making them as constant values at the top and trying to dominate the rest of the program through it will be a better and more efficient way. Now that we have a selection, we're going to also define that one. So I'm going to define as menu choice. And this is an integer because the user can press on 1, can press on 2 or 3. These are all numbers, so I'm going to take it as an integer number and store it. So this is going to be menu choice. Now that we handled this menu part, we're going to focus on the calculation. So So we are offering 3 options and we need to evaluate each and every one of them. We're gonna look into the first option. The first option is menu choice equals to 1. This means equals to, and the outcome is either true or false. In this case, the user selected the burger. So you can display a message here and immediately ask the user how many burgers they would like to buy. How many burgers would you like to buy for order? And you can put order number. You can put in here again a variable order number. Now that we put this, we can calculate the total price. The total price for this specific question, because it's the outcome, I'm going to initialize to 0, will be the price of each burger multiplied by the order number. So by multiplying the burger price with the order number, you can actually calculate the total price. So total price is going to be equal to order number multiplied by the burger price itself. Now, because you offered this option to the user, the first one, you can simply copy paste this and apply it to the next statement. So the second one is going to be chicken wrap. So you can just go there and type chicken wrap is selected, and how many chicken wraps would you like to order. The order number will be exactly the same because it works in the same way. The only difference will be this time is the chicken wrap price. So instead of the burger price, we're gonna put chicken wrap price here. And don't forget that this will be else if, because if you choose choice 1, then you have to stick to it until that choice is done. Otherwise, the program will work the first choice and the second choice as well, but you can only order one at a time, so make sure to put an else if. Once this is done, we're gonna put into another one and put 3 here and put the third choice, which is the chicken burger. So chicken burger is selected. How many chicken burgers would you like to order? And order is taken, and finally you're gonna multiply this with chicken burger price. Once this is done, you're gonna calculate the total price. All you have to do now is to show the total price. You can also put an else statement that will cover up if it is not fitting into the first one, not fitting into the second one, and not fitting into the third option. Then you can put an else statement here indicating that cout, sorry, you need to do a selection in between 1 and 3. Your choices are listed on the menu. So we are just giving this message to the user to make sure that this is gonna be, displayed when you select a choice other than 1, 2, or 3. Now that we have done with this, all we have to do is to show the total price, and I'm gonna do it outside of the if statements because this is a generic outcome, and I'm gonna put the token and put the price here. The price will be in terms of dollar because everything in the menu listed as dollars, so I'm gonna take it up as dollars as well. So let's just try to run this program to see our mistakes, if we have any. So we are offered with a menu with a burger, the wrap, and the chicken burger, and I'm gonna type 5 here and immediately get an error message. When we read the message, it says, sorry, you need to do a selection in between 1 and 3. The message that I wrote here actually. Your choices are listed on the menu. These are my choices which are listed on the menu, and the total price is 0 because no transaction actually happened and the initial number was 0, so it showed 0 there. Now when we rerun the program, if we enter a valid choice this time, let's say the burger, it will say the burger is selected. Like, how many burgers would you like to order? I want to order, let's say 5, and the total price is 5 multiplied by 6, it's gonna be $30. So if I rerun the program and select a different choice such as 4, I have to again getting an error message. Now I'm going to select the second choice from the list, which is the chicken wrap. So second choice, chicken wrap is selected, and I want to order 10 chicken wraps, and I have to pay 10 times 4, $40. And this is how you deal with the program. So we have learned quite a lot with if-else structure. You can see that how the program runs is that it evaluates these conditions one by one. In the next video, I'm going to show you an alternative approach to this program, this very program that we solved, and that is going to be the switch statement. So this is the end of the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.